Hello and a very warm welcome back to the garden. In this video I'm going to take you on an early June garden tour. I'm starting the tour in this shady part of the garden next to the summer house, and this was a recently planted border which I did last year. I want to show you the main highlight of this border at the moment, and it is this beautiful Persicaria. Now if you thought all Persicarias were green, think again, because this one has the most beautiful dark foliage, and this is a type called Red Dragon. It's an absolute beauty. This beautiful dark foliage is such a contrast to a lot of the colours in the garden, because let's face it, most of our garden leaves are green. This has lovely markings. There is a bit of like dark green in there, but there's just such a beautiful contrast to all these other plants. So that is one of the highlights of this bed at the moment. But I'm also going to tell you about the infiltration of foxgloves, because what we have on this side of the border is a carpet of foxglove seedlings, and there are far too many than what will grow in this small space. So I've just got a pot, and I'm just going to, what I need to be doing now is getting some of these up, so just picking some out. So that's like most of the kind of development at the moment, and nice little root run, and we need to be putting these into little pots. This one particularly is now at a size when you could actually plant it in the garden. There's no real need to pot it up. I'm just doing this because I need to figure out where they're all going to go, because there are so many. We're probably going to end up giving a lot of these away, but I have made the first attempt to at least try and get at least one out. But I will come back to that at some point and continue to get some of them thinned. The lovely wild strawberries are doing so well as well. So these have been fruiting quite a while, and we are getting some lovely fruits from these. And the good tip I have with these is when you've got all the fruit from the first crop, give them a really good cut back, cut them right back to the base. New foliage will come up, and also new fruits. So these will continue to bear fruit throughout the summer. You can give them a little boost, you can give them some tomato fertiliser, and that will also encourage them to produce a lot more fruit for you. So unlike the other strawberries, the ones you buy from the shop, the bigger strawberries, which I'll show you soon, they only fruit once, whereas the wild strawberries give you loads more and continue to fruit all through the summer months. So it is well worth growing. They are quite a unique taste, and the fruits are quite small in comparison to the normal strawberries, but they are so sweet. And if you just wait, I mean, this one here is just turning red now, but give it a few more days and let it become really intense red, and that flavour is just awesome. It's just so worthwhile just giving that a little bit longer and picking it when it's really, really deep red. In this bed we have the delightful Alchemilla mollis, and this is such a lovely frothy plant. We have these lovely lime green flowers, and these are absolutely fantastic. It's a very unusual colour. You don't usually see many plants flower with this kind of colour, so it is quite unique. It's as tough as old boots. You can pretty much grow it anywhere and it will thrive, no matter what situation, even in the deepest of shade. We grow it here. It's a beautiful, nice plant, and it has these lovely arching flower stems, which when they get quite heavy and wet will start to droop down. So this is a good plant to put by the side of a path, definitely at the front of a border, so it can be enjoyed. And as you pass through it, you can have that lovely tactile experience as well, because also these leaves are really furry, so they do have a really nice texture to them too. Whilst the Californian lilac has finished flowering, all the flowers have gone, we do now have the stand which I talked about in the previous tour. So this is just a lovely stand. It's plastic, but it just gives a bit of height for this part of the garden. And like I said before, I'm just going to train it upwards. So there will be some arching branches, because this particular variety does want to be quite an arching kind of shrub. This particular one is Italian Skies, but I do want to have some height too. So the nice trellis that I've put towards the back will give us that height and that vertical interest. And this, incidentally, was a Temu find. So I don't know how many people go on Temu, but recently I've been addicted to it. So this one was about £11 or something, and it comes in a small box. You've got to make it up, but for the price and the look of it, who can argue for that? The beautiful Stipa tenuissima is at the flowering stage now, so we have this lovely tactile flower stems, and as they open, these will then become the seeds, which get quite a blonde kind of colour as the season progresses, and these will start to arch over a little bit as the months go by. Such a tactile plant, quite easy to grow, just needs to be in a fairly sunny position in really good free draining soil. If you give a plant like this too much damp, you will find it will rot. So it does need to have a nice free draining soil. The Eryngium planum is reaching for the sky. We can now see that it's getting to have its lovely flower heads on. This will get a lot taller than what it is at the moment. It does get quite tall, this one. And right next to this, we have the beautiful Penstemon Garnet. Now, isn't that such a rich colour? It's like a cross between a deep pink and a rosy red. It is such a delight. And I love plants like this that have the tubular flowers, because the bees, I love to watch them going in, they scramble in, and they just tuck themselves in head first and get all that lovely nectar and pollen. And this is a beautiful one, absolutely fantastic. We take lots of cuttings from this every year so that we can have many more plants, but not only that, this is not really harder in this part of the country. If we do get a lot of really cold weather over the winter, cold and wet sometimes, it can be susceptible to being lost. So what we do is every year we take cuttings and we just take out, if you go around the side and you're kind of taking shoots that are not flowering, so don't touch the ones that are already in flower and don't touch the ones that have got flowers to come. What you're looking for is stems that have got no flowers on, so little stems like that. And what you're doing is you're just cutting just behind where you have a leaf joint. You're removing the bottom leaves because they're going to be under the soil, and usually nip out the tip, and you can also reduce some of these leaves as well. So you've got a nice little cutting just like that. Pop that in some hormone rooting powder, stick it in a pot full of gritty compost, or sometimes you can also mix your compost with something like perlite if you don't have grit, or even sand. Pop that in, and within about 3 or 4 weeks you should have roots. Pop a lovely dome over the top, so something like a plastic bag just to keep the humidity in, and you'll have brand new cuttings in next to no time. So that's Penstemons, really easy and a great thing to do as we're getting into June, July and August. Next, we are still enjoying this beautiful geum, lovely yellow geum, and we've got more flowers of the Lychnis coronaria. So this is this beautiful pink, perfect cottage garden favourites, these kind of plants. Lovely geums, lovely contrast with that pink and the yellow, and we've also got the blue of Geranium roseanne as well now flowering. It's a little bit shy. When the sun kind of goes off this plant, the petals do kind of close a little bit, but when the sun is shining, those petals open really full, and you can see the lovely bees and pollinators really enjoying all of these flowers. We're getting to the point now where we're needing to start deadheading plants just to keep that succession of flowers coming and coming. And Lychnis coronaria, once they start to go over, I don't think there was any, oh yeah, I can find one there. Once they start to go over, what you need to be doing is tracing that flower all the way back to where it joins the actual stem and nipping that out, because what you want to be doing is stopping these plants now from making seed, because if you leave them to go over, the whole plant will go to seed and the flowers will stop. But if you keep deadheading, what will happen is it will keep flowering and flowering all through the summer. Now this will flower well into September, and if you're very lucky you might even get early October as well, just by doing this deadheading task. When it starts to get quite floriferous, it can be quite laborious. It can take a lot of time to do as you go through each one, but just set yourself a few minutes a day, 10-15 minutes a day, come out and do a little bit in each part of the border and keep your plants flowering. We don't want them to go to seed just yet. We want them to keep going and going for as long as possible so we can get lots and lots of more flowers. Next, I want to introduce you to Geranium Mrs. Kendall Clark, and this is this beautiful pale blue geranium. It has lovely white markings on the flowers, and it is just an absolute delight. It flowers around the end of May going into June. It's not got a particularly long flowering period, and if we do get quite strong winds, we do need to give it some support. So just in here we do have these half moon supports, and I put one on one side and one towards the back, and that just gives like almost like a clasp which the plant can grow through, and it's just absolutely fantastic. The bees again absolutely adore this one. When this one finishes flowering, we will leave it to stand for probably a few months before what we're waiting for is for new foliage to come up from the bottom, which it'll do naturally while we're waiting for the top to kind of go over. If we cut it straight back, we'll have a massive gap in the border, and I don't really want that. This is not one that's going to repeat flower. It is only going to bring up fresh foliage, which is going to fill the gap in nicely. But I tend to leave it. It is quite architectural, and it does have, if you feel it, it does have a bit of a stickiness to it, which is quite tactile as well, but it's one of our favourites. This is Geranium Mrs. Kendall Clark. In this part of the garden, what seems to be very dominant at the moment is this Persicaria amplexicaulis Firetail, and this is a beast. It's just so much of foliage at the moment, but it's not only foliage. Soon we'll have lovely deep red flowers, and they will delight us all the way through into the autumn. But it's absolutely magnificent. You've got to give it space, and if you do give it space, it will delight you with this lovely foliage and also flowers. And just be careful what you're growing near it. You don't want to grow anything too delicate near it because it will smother it out. Give it space and it'll be very happy. A plant we've had in this border for a long time is this Sidalcea, and this is just one called Alba. It has lovely white flowers, quite upright. Now this one tends to grow through like runners underneath the ground. This wasn't actually planted at the front. This originally was planted towards the back, and what's happened over time is those lovely roots have gone through into the soil and just popped up whenever it fancies. So it looks quite nice where it is. It's mingling really well with the rose. This one's Rose of Sweet Honey, which is in bud, and lovely Scabiosa there. So it's mingling really well. So as long as you don't mind it doing that little bit of running, it's a really good plant to have. Over on this side of the border is the beautiful Geranium Ibericum, and on the last tour it was just starting to come out with a few flowers. Now it is awash with these lovely violet flowers, nice and open, perfect for pollinators, and it is absolutely delightful. Another one of these geraniums that doesn't flower for a second time, but we do chop it back after it's flowered. It will bring up a fresh amount of foliage, so it will be great ground cover for the rest of the season. But even though these are quite short-lived, it is a delightful plant to grow, and one which we look forward to every single year. We grow it here with the Geum Totally Tangerine, which is just starting to go over now. So the first flush of flowers is pretty much gone. But what I do with this is I do cut them back. So I tend to wait until all the flowers on the stem has gone, and then I trace that stem right back down to the ground and take the whole stem off. So let me just demonstrate. So a lot of these have actually gone. Follow it right down to the base, and off comes the stem. And then what will happen is we should get another flush of flowers, fingers crossed. We might give it another feed with some tomato feed just to give it that extra boost of potassium, which encourages the flowers. But for the time being, if you just go around and just trace it all the way down to the base and just take out all of these spent flowering stems. I did manage to find some sweet peas, and these are the ones that we managed to buy from one of the garden centres. Unfortunately, we missed the boat with regards to sowing our own this year because there was so much other things that took our attention. But we have got them, they are in the pots. When they get a little bit larger, a little bit taller, we will just place these pots onto the ground, just behind, just where the trellis is with the nice support, and these will clamber up and reach richly to the top, if not over the top this year. Lots and lots of sweet peas. We do love growing sweet peas, but we do find, unless we put them in these pots, they do get nobbled by the slugs. So putting them in these pots just gives them a little bit more protection. And if we give them a bit of time before we put them down, so we get them to about maybe that height, we place them on the ground, and then they can just scramble up the fence, and we'll enjoy all those beautiful flowers. Just on the table as well, I want to show you this beautiful Salvia. This is a tender Salvia, and this one is called Black and Bloom. And isn't it looking beautiful? This has been overwintered in our summer house. So all the winter it's been tucked up nice and snug inside the summer house. We brought it back to life during the spring. We placed some more of fresh compost over the top to give it a boost of nutrients, and up it sprung, and already it is delighting us with these beautiful vivid blue flowers. One thing I did forget in this border was the beautiful Lychnis chalcedonica, and these are these lovely red, lovely blooms. They're quite tall. Again, these will only flower the once. Once they're flowered, we'll just get lovely seed heads, but that is such a beautiful flower, lovely and open for the pollinators, and a real contrast to other plants around it. Really nice. These can grow quite tall. These are still kind of still maturing. We did, I think, do a video last year when we divided these, so we made more clumps, but these should get a good foot or so taller than that eventually when they're at the full mature height. But they're just spectacular, absolutely fantastic. With regards to the poppy, the last poppy is standing. The other heads have been bashed about with all the wind and some of the rain we've had recently. The last one is still standing. Now, it's arguable whether you want to cut the ornamental poppies right down to the ground to get a fresh amount of foliage to come back, or whether you want to leave the seed heads to mature and have an architectural kind of effect. I think we normally leave them on, so I think we'll continue to do that. But I do think the seed heads look quite dramatic and quite spectacular in their own right, so they'll be staying. These are the regular strawberries that I was talking about, and we do have this lovely vertical planter where they're all growing. We've been enjoying these. These are absolutely fantastic. Lovely red strawberries, juicy, and we do have a tremendous amount this year. And I think it's because we moved this planter from the other side near where the light is, and we've been enjoying a bit more sun on this side, and it's meant we've got a lovely rich amount of strawberry crop, and they're just absolutely fantastic. They're great just to nibble on as you're going around the garden. Absolutely delightful. And I will save Andrew some, so I'm not going to be too greedy and take them all. And the great thing with these ones is they're really, really easy to propagate, because they grow these beautiful runners. And what happens is the runner comes from the plant, and you can already see here it's already starting to make a plant. It's already throwing up some leaves. All you would need to do is pop that into another pot, or you could, even if it's on the ground, you could just peg it down into the soil, and new roots will form from the bottom of that part there. And then once it's established and you can see roots are growing, you just sever that, and that's a whole new plant for free. And it gives out so many runners. It's so free. There's another one there. And you can even do a line, because it grows, comes to a junction there, so you can pop that into a pot or peg it down onto the ground, then keep that going along the other edge. You can pop another one down there, and then another one down there, so you could potentially get 3 new plants just from that one runner. So with strawberry plants, they probably get around 3 years of really good crops, and after that point you then start to see a decline in yield numbers. So it's a good idea to make lots of new strawberry plants, so that in succession you can keep replacing them and you're not having to go out and keep buying new ones. The thing I've been wanting to show you the most is this side of the garden, and it is pretty much now complete. We do have this very large perennial border on this side of this new lovely walkway, and we have another perennial border on this other side, so you're kind of enclosed in all this planting. We have the decking finally down, we have the pond installed, we have the planting around the pond done, and finally what I was doing just before we did the filming for this video is making up the beautiful new table. So we now have somewhere where we can sit and enjoy the beautiful sun as the sun baths during the hot summer days. We can come out and enjoy a nice drink, some nice food, and enjoy this space. This was where the old rockery used to be. It is now demolished. This new installation of these lovely decking tiles are down, and we can enjoy this space now to the maximum. We're bringing this garden from an era before we owned it to an era now where we do own it. We've been able to make so many changes and we are so happy with how it now looks. We've been able to introduce so many new plants, so many things that we've grown before, we've grown with clients before, we've had other people growing them in their own gardens, and it is just such a delight. What I want to show you is some of the things that are happening in the borders at the moment, because we do have some plants that are in flower. So I'm just going to show you some of the combinations which we've chosen and some of the highlights. I wanted to bring your attention to this lovely trio of plants. This one is Tiarella Pink Skyrocket, which is a lovely Tiarella. It has lovely fragrant flowers and it's mingling really well with the Geranium Brookside. So this is the lovely blue Geranium Brookside, and because Brookside is quite a mingler, it does have like long stems and it really does give you really good associations with other plants that it's neighbouring. So we have the lovely Brookside there, and it's mingling in a corner where the Eryngium Neptune's Gold is going to be. I mean, some of these I've actually got, I've just noticed one of the cuttings that I took last year is actually got a flower head on. I think it's the only one that has, but that is amazing. So it's in the border, it's got a flower head on, and I'm really pleased. So that's going to come up there. And the third plant in this little trio is this lovely Persicaria affinis superba. So the flowers come out, lovely white colour. It then fades to a little bit like a pinky, rosy pink. And then as they age even further, it goes to the deep pink. So you get like a mixture of colour tones all on the same plant. You also get a nice mat of this lovely foliage, which has this lovely bronzeness to it as well. So all in all, it's a really fantastic plant. And when you combine them as a threesome, like I have done here, it just shows them off to their best. One of the beautiful combinations, which I pointed out last time we did the tour, is this lovely geum, which is Princess Juliana, which is this beautiful deep orange colour. And last time the Salvia was just starting to emerge and starting to flower. Now it's starting to be really deep purple. So it has that lovely combination, and as these geums grow and get bigger, you get to see that association even better, because these wiry stems will start to spread around and we'll get those mingling with these lovely purple spires. This particular salvia is Salvia caradonna, and a lot of these plants were actually propagated through cuttings made last year, grown on and planted in this border in the previous few months. So you can just see, propagating your own plants, it doesn't take too long, particularly with perennials, to get them into a size where they can actually be flowering and you can be enjoying them in your borders. This is another beauty. This one is a Phylloxera called Black Stockings. Has this lovely dark stem and these lovely fluffy, lovely purpley kind of pinky flower heads. Really beautiful. I think the dark stem really does set it off. Its full name is Phylloxera aquilegifolium Black Stockings, and you can see why, because it does have the foliage that resembles aquilegias. So it does quite look like an aquilegia, but it has the bonus of having these lovely flowers which are not at all like aquilegias. They're very typical of the Phylloxera. And just behind that, I want to show you this perennial foxglove. So this was planted here in this border last year, and I was dubious as to whether it would survive the winter and whether it would be perennial or not, and here it is. It's absolutely doing wonders. It's got some lovely flower heads on, and these are about to open, so a little bit later than our normal foxgloves, our native foxgloves, but it is absolutely fantastic, and this should throw up more and more flower stems throughout the summer as well. So a really beautiful plant, and like I said, it's one of those plants where I bought it last year, took a chance. When we go to a garden centre, it's like eye candy everywhere for us. We just have to be really restrained on what we bring back with ourselves, because we don't have the largest kind of garden, but we can always squeeze the odd plant in here and there. And when you see something that you really like this one, it just had to come home. There was just no two ways about it. And here it is in its second year, looking splendid. So the final planting around the pond edge is now completed. The little space that I had left, I was deciding what to put there, wasn't I, in the previous video. I've decided to go with a plant we've already got, which was the Primula vulgaris, so the native primrose. It's a beautiful plant. It likes the kind of wet kind of conditions. If this pond does overflow a little bit, it's not going to cause it any detrimental effect because it does like to be in moisture retentive soil anyway. It does have beautiful, nice open primrose flowers, nice yellow flowers during the springtime, earlier in the spring, so it'll bring nice pollinators to this area when nothing else around this area will be in flower. So that'll be the first thing to come out. Have the lovely primula, which is a candelabra primula, which is apple blossom just in front of me here. The beautiful flag iris, which is still in flower at the moment. The bees are still enjoying that. The pond plants, the geum, which is mai tai, the astilbe, which is fanal, which is just almost in flower but not quite. We have the grasses, the carex just on the opposite side of me there, and some more primula candelabras, just hybrid ones, different colours on the other side, and some more of the beautiful fanal astilbes on that side as well. Like I've said in the video, if you haven't seen it already, I'll post a link to it above there. That is the video on creating the pond. Like I said in that one, we've got a nice sloping edge, so any creatures that do want to have a drink inside here or do want to make this pond their home can get easy access to a safe place which is quite overgrown towards that area. So any kind of predators that might come around, they will be able to get out of the pond quickly and hide and get through into next door's garden if they need to. So I'm going to finish this garden tour here. It's been a pleasure to show you around the garden and show you the completed areas as a whole. We are going to get so much joy from this space. We're going to be basking in the beautiful sunshine that this garden has the aspect of, a lovely sunny position. We've got plants all around us. We now have a pond that we can gaze into and just take our mind off our day-to-day life and just immerse ourselves into gardening. It's such a mindful act to do, just coming out, having a drink, 5 or 10 minutes, and your batteries can be recharged. There is still a little bit more work to do, particularly with the island bed just behind. That does need to be re-evaluated. There's an apple tree to be planted in there, and a lot of the geranium which goes around the edges is far too invasive. It's growing too quick and it's smothering all the plants that are already in there. So we are going to have a look at that, and we will show you what we do with regards to how we're going to plant it, because we do have some plants that are still in pots. We do have plants in the veg bed just to the side of me there. These are going to be going into that bed once we do the changes. So please keep posted and we will show you what we do with the island bed. We will see you very, very soon on the next video. In the meantime, please do take care, and as always, happy gardening. Please hit that like button, please subscribe, and any comments you have, please do drop them in the comments box below the video. We'll see you very, very soon.